Hi, hello, vanakkam, and welcome back to yet another episode on everyone's favorite Little Slaw YouTube channel. So this is our blogger, the Little Slaw YouTube channel .blogspot.com. So where I'm posting various blogs on performance testing, DevOps, and various other technical content. If you're someone who is new, please do reach out to our channel and you can watch many videos. And in fact, this content, that is the performance testing interview preparation guide, was a very good reach in the LinkedIn post, and many of our subscribers and viewers wanted to have a better explanation on this. So this video is all about that. I'll add some more information on it. So talking about this interview tips. So I'm going to walk you through a step-by-step approach to ace your next performance testing interview. So whether you're aiming for a role as an SDET or a performance engineer or a QA analyst, this guide will definitely boost your confidence and help you stand out from the competition. So firstly, the first topic, the first part of this section is the understanding job requirements. So you have to start by thoroughly reviewing the job description. I every time tell any of those who are preparing for the interview, I always ask them to review the job description. It's not just skimming through it, but just identify any key requirements and look for skills and tools mentioned, such as JMeter, Load Runner, or cloud-based testing, and align your preparation with the specific role you're applying for. For example, if you're targeting an SDET role, just focus on automation frameworks and scripting. And if it is a performance engineering role, emphasize system tuning and capacity planning. For QA analyst positions, hone your skills in next test planning and reporting. And the second part is reviewing the key performance testing tools. So this is the next critical part where you have to get familiar with the most widely used performance testing tools in the industry. So let's do a quick rundown. We all know JMeter. It's an open source and highly customizable. It's great for web applications and APIs. And next we have the Load Runner, which is an enterprise grade with support for a wide range of complex protocols, which is often used by large organizations. And then we have Neoload, which is known for its user-friendly interface and seamless CI/CD integration. We do have Gatling, which is recognized for its scalability and real-time reporting features. We do have Locust, which is basically a Python-based, perfect for distributed load testing environments. On top of this, I will add another bonus tip, which is make sure you understand the pros and cons of each tool and when they are most effective. For example, use JMeter for flexibility, LoadRunner for large scale enterprise needs, and Locust if you prefer Python scripting. And then the third part, which is refreshing the core performance testing concept. So before you step into interview, ensure you're clear on foundational concepts. Say, for example, like types of performance testing, where we know about load testing, where we simulate expected user load to check the system behavior. We do stress testing, which goes beyond the limit to identify any breaking points. We do soak testing to run the system over a long period to find issues like memory leaks and stability problems. We do spike testing to send sudden burst of traffic to spot quick failure points. And you know what? In many of those interviews, I personally felt that people struggle a bit to answer these basic questions. So please, I mean, I know very well, I personally know that people know what are these types of testing, but without a proper brush up before the interview, people are really struggling to answer these questions. So I really advise you to watch this, at least this particular topic, several times before you take an interview, because that will definitely give the confidence to the interviewer that okay, you have a lot of knowledge on the basics. And the next part is the key metrics to monitor, which is starting with the response time, which tells how fast is the server processing request. And then we have the throughput, the TPS mainly, the transactions per second handled by the system. And then we have the error rate, which is the percentage of the failed request. And then we do have the CPU or memory usage, which identifies the resource bottlenecks. On top of it, I would always advise the the person who is attending the interview to talk about more into bottleneck identification and tuning, like know where the bottleneck might occur. Like for example, if it is in databases, issues like slow queries or missing indexes are the real bottlenecks. And when it comes to network, the user or the application might face a lot of latency or bandwidth constraints. And when it comes to the application code, there could be a lot of inefficient logic or algorithms being used in the application code. And then we do have the server configuration where settings like thread pools or JVM parameters could be the main reason for the bottlenecks. And then preparing for common interview questions. Yes, let's cover some questions you will likely to hear along with how you can approach your answers. So how do you identify a performance bottleneck? So the answers could be like using monitoring tools to track various metrics, analyze them to spot anomalies and isolate different components to find the root cause is one way to prepare for a technical question on how do you identify a performance bottleneck. And coming to the second question, where the question could be like explain your experience with JMeter scripts, where you have to talk about the script parameterization. How did you handle the correlation? How did you set up positions, and why did you set up positions? And how did you conduct your distributed testing across multiple machines? So all these will add value to your experience with JMeter scripts. And then coming back to what's your approach to test planning, where you can start with defining the objectives, so where you have selected the right tools, you created scenarios that mimic real world usage, and you focused on thorough analysis of the results. So these are the ways where you can impress the interviewer. And then the scenario based questions, where if the questions like how would you test an e-commerce site during a flash sale, so where you can outline your plan. They don't need you to test you to demo testing for a flash sale, but they want to understand how do you outline your plan to simulate the high user frequency. How will you execute spike and stress test? How will you check the cart and payment workflows? And they also make sure that how good are you ensuring in server scaling strategies which are in place. So these are some scenario based questions where you might expect from the interviewer. And questions like what metrics would you track for an API performance testing, like where you have to explain that you would monitor response times, the error rates, the throughput, and the resource utilization to assess the API's efficiency and reliability under load. Now we'll move to the next few topics, which is how will you practice for your hands-on scenarios, how will you prepare your resume and project stories, and how good you prepare for your mock interviews and communication practice, and about your interview checklist and your post-interview follow-up. So talking about this section where you practice hands-on scenarios, so to truly impress in interviews and on the job as well, it's very vital to practice real performance testing scenarios. So here, let me give you a few tips on how to do it. So start by setting up a basic load test using tools like JMeter or BlazeMeter. For instance, you might simulate multiple users accessing a sample web application. You can launch the test and monitor how the system responds. And after you run the test, start analyzing the results. So when I say analyzing the results, look for the throughput drops, because these might indicate system slowdowns, and watch for high latency, where you can look for long response times, which are key signs of bottlenecks, and look for error rates to ensure stability under load. So all these items gives you a clear idea on how to analyze the results. So you have to tackle the correlation and parameterization, which means you have to handle dynamic values like session IDs or tokens, and that change with every test run. So you have to properly manage these to ensure your scripts mimic real user behavior and they stay robust. Don't forget to integrate your your test with CI/CD pipelines, because tools like Jenkins, GitLab, GitHub, they let you automate performance tests. So every code deployment is validated for speed and stability. And this step is very crucial for modern day DevOps workflows. And before I end this section, let me give you a pro tip. So always use real world applications like a live demo website for your practical testing, because it prepares you for unexpected scenarios and it will sharpen your troubleshooting skills. There are a lot of websites for that. I can give you, if you want, you can just comment as real world applications. I'll give you DM you the websites. And then the next part where you are preparing your resume and project stories. So when you update your resume, use the STAR method. So when I say STAR method, it is in the format of situation, task, action, and result, because this structure will help you tell a very clear and a compelling project story. And let me give you an example where I use in several places where I say that I identified a database bottleneck while testing an application with 500 concurrent users. That's the situation, and then my task was to optimize the response times. So I analyzed the slow queries and reworked them for efficiency, and that was the action that I have taken. Because of that action, it resulted in a 40% reduction in response time and improved the customer satisfaction, and that is the result. So this is the situation, task, action, and result. And also make sure that you emphasize on the tools used. For example, JMeter with Groovy scripting or CI/CD integration. What challenges you face, like dynamic parameterization or deployment issues, and what kind of business impacts you have, like such as revenue gain, stability, or user experience improvements. So by practicing all these scenarios and by preparing star-based project stories for your resume, you will showcase both your hands-on skills and your value to potential employers. And next we'll move on to the section 7-8. And yep, practice makes perfect. Yep, so practicing interviews is a very critical step on your path to land a performance testing role. And here is the tip for you to maximize your preparation. So the first thing is technical mock interviews. So explain concepts with clarity. So when I say explain concepts, you have to practice breaking down the performance testing topics such as bottleneck identification or like scripting the parameterization. So use a structure like defining, describing an example and typing it back to impact. And then the next part is just simulating the real interview setting. So ask a friend or a mentor to act as the interviewer. Request technical questions such as how do you approach identifying high latency in load test, and answer out loud. So speaking your responses actually improves your comfort and confidence. And nextly, the behavioral questions. So please start attending more of a behavioral question, like you can expect scenario based prompts, like for example, describe a time where you solved a high performance issue or a tough performance issue. So for this, you have to use a star method. Yes. So the situation is setting the context. The task is what needed to be accomplished, and the action is what did you do for that, and the result is what was the impact. And like you can tell, like you can highlight your teamwork and your adaptability, because these are the values. These are valued in performance testing teams. And then you can simplify the complex terms. Say for example, you can tailor your language. So when I say tailor your language, when speaking to non-technical interviewers like the senior managers, to the HR team, you can avoid any technical jargons, and you can start using more of analogies and simple explanations. For instance, you can explain load testing as seeing how a website handles lots of visitors at the same time, like testing a bridge with the heavy traffic. So these analogies and these simple explanations will bring yourself closer to them. And then check for understanding. So pause and ask if any clarifications are needed. This is very important. And then the 8th section, which is interview day checklist. Yes, so you have to use this checklist to help you shine on interview day. Be very clear and confident. So when I say be clear and confident, it is so why does it matter? Because it's well structured answers will leave a strong impression to the interviewer. Use real examples. Yes, so you have to demonstrate practical experiences, ask clarifying questions. So show engagement and analytical thinking, demonstrate problem solving where you have to walk through how you would debug a performance issue. And finally, a few pro interview tips which no one else will share. Prepare a brief self-introduction where you can highlight your most relevant experience. Have few stories, few star stories ready. Don't expect them to ask you and then you have to prepare for that. Keep something ready with you, especially for project challenges and successes. And practice active listening. Don't rush to answer. Think, then respond. Bring questions for interviewers. For example, ask about the team's current performance challenges. And by engaging in mock interviews, refining your communication, and following your interview checklist, you will deliver a very clear, confident, and compelling responses that would highlight both your technical and expertise and your value as a team member. And finally, let me end up with the post-interview follow-up. Okay, so now your interview is done. After interview, always follow up with a thank you email, no matter how you did, whatever you questioned or whatever you answered. Send a follow-up thank you mail. This simple gesture will go a long way and show both your professionalism and continued interest in the role. Reiterate your interest in the position and company. Reference key discussion points from the interview. Mention a specific tool, challenge, or project that you discussed to personalize your message. Express your gratitude for the opportunity and the interviewer's time. Say, for example, you can sent an email like, thank you for the opportunity to discuss the performance engineering role. I enjoyed our conversation about integrating JMeter script in CI/CD pipelines, and I'm excited about the possibility of contributing my experience to your team. Please let me know if you need any additional information. So these kind of communications will definitely uh, make them that, okay, next time when there is an opportunity, they will definitely get back to you, and there are like a lot of chances for you to get selected. Self-reflection, finally, take a moment after the interview for self-reflection. So note areas where you excelled, such as where you clearly explained some technical concepts, or where you shared impactful project stories, where you identified improvement points, for example, questions that made you pause, or technical terms you struggle to simplify. Make notes immediately. So while the interview is fresh in your mind, so you can prepare even better for future opportunities. And final thoughts, performance testing interviews go beyond just technical knowledge. So they also assess your analytical skills, communication abilities, problem solving approach. So by completing this, by following all these complete guide, you will be equipped to demonstrate your technical depth with hands-on tool knowledge and real world scenarios. You can also showcase your analytical thinking in bottleneck identification and performance metrics. You can communicate clearly with both technical and non-technical audiences. So make sure you stay curious and proactive. So for continued growth, explore JMeter tutorials in our Little Star YouTube channel. Read upon performance testing blogs like I have created here. A lot of blogs were there. Please feel free to go through the blogs here. I've added a lot of interesting blogs, and if you want to write, please do send a request. I'll add you as an author, and you can showcase your knowledge as well. Please use this as a launch board to showcase your knowledge to the entire world. This is completely for performance testers, by performance testers basically, and you can contribute and you can study GitHub projects to sharpen your skills. So with that, I come to an end of this video. And I believe this video would be very useful to you. So until I meet you all in a new interesting topic, and it's bye bye from Shanmugam and your favorite Little Star YouTube channel. Take care and bye bye.